Alright guys, got a skid steer here. Most of you probably haven't seen it because I think I only had about 400 subs when I did a video when I bought it. And as you can see, it still haven't done anything with it since I bought it last June. A little backstory on it, I got a real good deal on Craigslist on it. The guy I bought it from, I got it from a cattle farmer who didn't need it anymore. They used it to clean out the pens running in the barns and whatnot. And it had been about 2 years since it had run at that point, and he had it running when I went and looked at it. They said the fuel pump was out of it, and so he dumped some gas down the carburetor, and the battery obviously wasn't any good, but had the charger on it, and it fired up last year. When I went to look at it, it fired up for just a second, and then it died again. We couldn't get it started again because the battery was too dead in it. But anyway, here it is. Got a couple things you got to do to it. A throttle cable, I think I might have to get a new one of them. I'm going to overhaul the carburetor, put a new fuel pump on it, clean out the fuel system. And other than that, I got to put a new belt on the, it's got a belt-driven governor on it. Because this is really a Ford 4-cylinder engine. Be like in a Ford Escort or something, might not even be that big. They just call it a little Ford industrial engine, 27 horsepower. A cute little thing. But anyway, so it's got a belt-driven governor, so I had to get a new belt for it. It does have electronic ignition on it. But I still got the carburetor on it. And then I don't know what else it needs. This tire, he said, doesn't, I've never tried pumping it up, but he said it doesn't hold air very long. And the tires are getting pretty well balled on it, so I'll probably put a new set of tires on it. And then other than that, just change all the fluids in it. I don't really need a skid steer, so depending on how, I don't know, I just got to get it run and see how it does. I might try to sell it. Might try to, or might keep it, I don't know. Looking on Tractor, or I'll be Machinery Trader on the internet, they got them listed from like $4,500 to $7,500, which that's quite a bit considering what it is, but I don't know much about skid steers. Maybe that's about the line for what they're worth. Gale 3510 is the model. But they can ask whatever they want until someone's actually willing to give you something for it. You can ask what you want all day long. But if I could get $5 grand out of it or something, I'd probably let it go. But I gotta get it running first. So anyway, I called the Napa store, and they ordered me a fuel pump and a carburetor kit for it. And that'll be in here in a day or two. But anyway, I'm gonna tear the carburetor, go put a wash carburetor off a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it in my ultrasonic cleaner here and clean it up. So I'll come back to you here in a bit. Alright, disassembling the carburetor here. Got the throttle shaft out of it and choke shaft. These things, sometimes people overhaul a carburetor and still not understand why it runs quite right, the engine isn't running quite right, but a lot of times what'll happen is the seal here, which I haven't took it out yet, and I'm probably wait till I get the carburetor to decide if I need, or the carb kit, to see if they send a new seal to go in right here. That seal will be cracked, or the shaft will be worn on older carburetors, and it'll actually be sucking air there, and then it's not sucking enough through the carburetor to get enough fuel mixture. And what you can tell by that, usually if you just take the thing and move it, it'll clear it up, you know, or it'll change the way the engine's running, not by not going like this with the shaft, but just move it up and down. And it'll have a little play in it, but not, if it's worn out, you'll know it. It'll run a lot different. And then it's got this little thing here, which that piece of rubber is looking pretty bad right there. Gonna dry it out. It goes right here. And I've never seen this on an engine this big before, but you usually see it on like a 3.5 horse Briggs and Stratton or something like that, where they got the little 1-gallon fuel tank mounted right under the carburetor, and the carburetor sits on top of it and has that little suction line that comes up into the carburetor. And how it works on those single cylinder engines, the pressure change in the carburetor from the valves opening and closing, they've got a little spring behind here, and it'll actually move that flap, or move the piece of rubber, and it'll actually suck fuel. And it's got a check valve system then too, and I think that's what's happening here, because they got ports for the what do I call that, or anyway, a vacuum port from the barrel in here, and it'll move that little diaphragm there in and out and move and pump fuel. It's kind of a simple little way, but it works good. Well, don't look too bad, gasket shot, but they normally are. Come on, pop off there. The whole gasket's gonna give trouble. Anyway, there's the float assembly. That pin slips down in that slot there, and then the needle valve is there, or the seat for the needle valve right there. And then the needle valve goes in like that, and that's the fuel inlet, and it screws in right there. Anyway, that's how that was. I think it don't look too bad in there. I might have been able to get by without cleaning it out, but I was reading on the internet that these are kind of fickle little carburetors, so I figured I'd just go ahead and clean it out, and then I know where it's at. Alright, now I got the carburetor all apart and cleaned up, or gasket scraped off of it for the most part. I did use a wire wheel and very carefully just polish the gasket off just a little bit. Makes things go a little faster, but you gotta do it pretty carefully. This is an ultrasonic cleaner I got at Harbor Freight. It was like 80 bucks. Didn't want to spend a bunch of money, but I am very impressed with the job it does. Money well spent. Now what it does is it just, I'll just turn it on. It can heat up the water, and then you put this cleaning powder in with it, and it's just you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the video, it just vibrates, and it just loosens stuff up in the passages of the carburetor and whatnot. And this carburetor will do real well on, because not much of this crap comes apart. They got all sorts of stuff just kind of pressed together. It pisses me off. You know, they got the jets, you can't even take them out of there. They're just pressed in there, so whatever. But it'll do good, because that'll get in there, let the water get in there and the cleaning agent, and kind of loosen everything up, and then you can blow it out with carb cleaner and the air hose. But anyway, this thing, it's made for silverware actually, and so it only turns on in like that's what it is, 408, I guess it'd be 6-minute increments, I think. And so every 6 minutes you got to come back and bump the time back up on it. But you know, I usually let them run for about 45 minutes. I don't put the floats in there because I'm afraid it could break the solder. But we'll clean that up. Let's see, yeah, we'll have to clean the throttle plate up. Clean the seat up, because I'm not sure if they're going to send a new one. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Jet there. Put the choke plate in. That's electronic fuel shut off. We'll leave that out. Oh, got the air horn there. What am I missing? Oh, I was supposed to put the choke rod in there. This little thing, don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But anyway, there's, set that all in there, and all, that little piece there is sticking up, so I'll probably come in 20 minutes or so and flip it over so that it gets down in the water. About out, gonna have to get some more of that. But anyway, just kind of sprinkle that in there like that. And I always turn the heat on because it works better with the heat. And you just kind of set. There it counts down. And it goes in seconds there, so I'll come back in a little bit and reset it. Alright, I got it out and all cleaned up. Did pretty good on it. There must have been some deposits of some sort in the carburetor, because this piece right here was in this half and it sat in here like that. And then about halfway through I went to flip the thing over and it just fell out, and it was stuck in there before, so this thing does loosen material up, and it obviously did loosen that up plenty good right there. So I got that all apart, and then when I'm done with it I just take the carb cleaner and blow through all the ports, and then I take the air and blow through everything and dry it off real good, and that seems to work real well for me. But Napa couldn't get the carburetor kit or the right one, so I called the Massey dealer, which is also a Gale dealer, and it's discontinued through Gale. And I was looking on the internet last night, and it turns out Zenith just skips this particular carburetor in the book, because I guess it was only sold on these little Ford engines, so they wanted Ford to service it or something like that. But anyway, luckily the guy at the Massey dealer had another guy in town who works a lot on Gale skid steers and whatnot, and he was able to get me a carb kit for it, so just pick that up tomorrow morning. But well, there'll be hopefully not too many part series on this thing. I'd like to get it running and do something with it, but we'll put the carburetor back together now. So thanks for watching.